Let's see what we can do with some printed tracing paper. Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. Well, this is the situation I'm in today. I've got 4 envelopes in front of me, and this month we have been looking at binding envelopes together to make a fun little tab journal, and that is for the delivery of something interesting inside the envelope. Now these envelopes are actually vintage ones. They have come out of a writing set, so they are all pristine and lovely. But I'll just show you another project that I started, and this is the final piece. Now this is very different. So this is a grungy little Christmassy journal, and it has got all the little embellishments and scraps from my craft table on it, and you can see it's got little tabs sticking out, and it's also bound with tabs as well. So this is the back, this is the front. We've got a little swing bit there just to show you. I've tied it up with rolled twisted newspaper. So everything here has been salvaged. It's all little scraps that I have in my stash and around my table. I've had a lovely time putting everything together. I haven't filmed this because it was a really nice little moment to be able to sit down and have a coffee and quietly craft myself and just get lost in the project. And I cannot stress enough how exciting that is, to just be able to shut the door, come and sit down, and even if you are not inspired at all, just glue down some paper scraps and see where it takes you. And that's where I was at with some of the things. I thought, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make it work. And then I just thought, why am I worrying? Just put it down. It's scraps. We'll put pretty things on top and we'll try and make it work. And of course, it sort of comes together in this scrappy collage, which is just interesting everywhere you look, but completely chaotic and grungy, and some people like that. I know it's not for everybody, but for me it's been fun to put together, and I have relaxed. So I've been able to add little tags and tickets, a little note to the person I'm sending this to, and then out of that we get all the little bits that I can then send. Nice little things there, and just little scraps of interesting paper and a little sentiment and stickers and stamps, all fun to find. So yes, it was a good little project, and nice little vintage stamp just tucked in there with that beautiful paper from Italy. So there we go, I'm just putting that in. But how we made this was on a previous video, so I will leave the link below. You can have a look to the tab binding. It's easy, it's no sew. We just use tape, any tape, and then you can decorate the tape, or if you've got decorative tape, this is fabric tape that I've used here, and you just put 3 tabs on one envelope, and then the next one you put 2 tabs. And here we've got some fish swimming across, and here is some baubles that have been painted and a little bit of embellishment there. And then each envelope has fun things in there, and that one's got some vintage finds, and there's lots of exciting things. Now this is for the reciprocant to open, so I won't spoil the surprise. And also on there we've got the numbers, so this is to open on the 3rd of December, and then the 10th of December. This one is the 17th, and finally the 24th. And they are all the Sundays in December. So it works with the idea of Advent, but it's also just, it could be for any time of the year, and it could be for any Sundays or any days that you fancy giving to somebody. And it's a nice little idea. So now we're going to make another one. But this was the grungy one, and now I'm going to do something a little bit different using my pretty vellum papers here. Although it's not vellum, I actually used tracing paper. And I've printed onto tracing paper. This is the paper that I've used. It's very inexpensive and comes from Amazon. So if you want to have a look at that, you can find that, I'm sure. The thing to say here is it's very thin, so I'm not sure if I'm recommending it or not, but this is what happens if you get it out of the printer quickly and lie it down flat, it stays flat. And this is what happens if you do what I do and get distracted and forget about it, and then the ink just makes the paper roll up, and then it does that. So what we have to do is flatten it out. These are really, really pretty papers. So I'm doing a little project for Shabby Dabby Doodah. These papers all come from her collection, and I will leave the link below to the kits that they come from, and anything that I use will be from Shabby Dabby Doodah today. So this is one of her images, and I just think it's going to work really nicely with these pale blue envelopes. Then this one I think comes from red and pink birds, but I will flash it up and you will be able to see which kit that is if you're interested. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some of these apart. So I think I've done one already, so I've pulled it open like that. And if you wanted to have a go at this and get this project off to somebody this week, then it is quite straightforward to do. I'm going to decorate these envelopes, we're going to do the tab binding, and if there's time to put the numbers on, we will do that. And then I shall go away and fill them with goodies for the person that's going to receive this. Let's delve into these papers. I really quite like them all rolled up. I think that's actually really nice. It's sort of I think I could have them stored in a vase with a little bit of lace around and be able to pull from them. It's quite a nice storage idea, so I think I'm quite pleased that that's actually happened. It's only been printed on one side, so I've got to make sure that I get it round the right way with the wording. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line them and use a paper clip and put that on. Pin it to stop it rolling. If you do yours properly, or if you've got any vellum or printed out papers, then hopefully yours is already straight. If you use a thicker vellum, it won't do this. It's only because this tracing paper is very thin. I'm going to leave the top, and I just want to frame the lady on there. Now I'm going to turn this into a sewing project, but it doesn't need to be. You can glue it all the way around and be done with it. The glue can show through. It is best to use a stick glue and maybe do an even coverage over the top. But I am going to go round with my sewing machine and sew that on. So when I sew, I'm going to be sewing inside the flaps here, coming down, sewing all the way around and up again and ending there. I'll have a look at the sewing machine if I'm going to sew across the top or if I'm going to leave it open to create a pocket. We'll see what it looks like. Okay, back from the sewing machine, we've got our stitches all the way around, and wherever there was a gap in the imagery, I just put in a zigzag stitch for a bit of detail, a little bit of interest, so there's a little bit there as well. I'm going to tear that bit. Actually, that's more fun. Let's do it that way. It's easier. Easier on the hands. Okay. I think I will just take that bit off. All right. Now, that bit will tuck in. And that bit will tuck in. So we can safely glue down this bit and just roll our tracing paper up. A printed tracing paper. Just stick that on. Lovely. And then over here. And then stick that up there like that. And then we'll just bring this back up. Okay, that's looking really good. We've got the shoes there, we've got the lady there, and now we want to decorate this flap here. So we'll have a look at what we have left. And we've got another image there with the lady. So I'm going to repeat the process. Okay, that has come back really nicely, so I'm just going to cut that away, minding that I don't cut into my stitching. And here we have the envelope. So this is the back and this is the front. So isn't that smart? So that will now be able to flip open, and then you can have a look at the back, all embellished as well in these fabulous papers. It just works so well to be wrapped around. I really like that. Now, I have left this open, and the thought behind that is I thought that this could make a really cool pocket, so I'm just going to open that to give myself the opening there, and I'm going to use a nice wide circle punch. So that didn't work, so because it's such thin tracing paper, I'm going to use a scrap of normal paper and put it behind, and then I should be able to punch out what I wanted. That's better. So that's a nice little trick to remember. And then when we close it, we've got that. That's great. And now we can decorate the others. So I will probably want to put something in there as well. So we'll see what other papers we've got in a moment. Let's have another go. Now I'm going to do another one. So we want to choose another paper. This one's nice. Let's have a go at this one. So we're doing the blue tones at the moment, and then I've got a pink one as well. So let's have a look. These are the only scraps that came off of that first envelope. These can now come in and be useful scraps for other projects such as clusters or collage. So they are really, really useful to keep. So we'll put those off to one side to pin that on, and I will sew around. Carefully pulling open my envelope, just running my finger along there, and they are popping open nice and easily. I'm orientating my envelopes all the same way so that they work like this with the flap on the right hand side. Now with this one, with the beautiful birds, if I move my paper right up to the top to match up with my envelope, when I fold that flap in later on, we are going to lose the top of the bird's head, and that could look quite unfortunate. So I love that composition of the three birds. I'm going to move it down, and where I need to cover this flap, I shall just take another scrap from elsewhere and piece it on there. And then we can save the bird's image. And we've got this one, and then I can have a larger embellishment on the front of this one. So let's take these all to the sewing machine. Okay, back from the sewing machine, we've got this one here, which is the plainer one. We've got this one with the birds, with that bird all rescued on there. I'm just detaching the end pieces, so I've done that for this one. And the end piece was here. I'm now going to be able to move that one over to here and sew on the roses there. So it's just nicer to take something a little bit more interesting than maybe something a bit plainer. So I've got the lovely roses, so when that folds in we'll see the pretty flowers. So we're going to put that on in a minute. That's another sewing task. And this one I'm just going to remove, and then we can see what we've got for this one to put onto the flap at the front. So we just remove all of that. These create some very nice scraps. Now this is the bird that I just need a little bit to turn in, so I've got that bit, that's fine. Because the back part of this envelope is tapered in, when I pull it up, we see the sides of the blue paper there. So it is important for me to keep the paper rolled in so that we keep the design going forward. Now this was the one with the bird, so I've had to do a shorter piece here, but what I'll do is I'll just pull that bit in, and then I'll glue that bit down, and I shall add one of these little off-cut pieces here. This piece here. That's better, and there we go. So I've just repaired that bit. That's now a little bit invisible. That's in place now, so I can just cut it out as I've done the other sides, and we are none the wiser that that was a piece that wasn't there. And then I shall glue the whole lot shut. I'll be doing that by pulling that up, and now I haven't got the blue space there. Can you see it? It's all just tying in nicely. So if I smooth this out with the bone folder, there we go. That gets all stuck down, and then just put in a nice permanent crease on that tracing paper, and then everything can be stuck down now. And for this I can use a stronger glue. I'm just going to make sure that that is stuck down firmly. There we go. And this one, when it's closed, has the pink bouquet of flowers. So when we put this bird on and we orientate it around the right way, we get that lovely image, and it also talks about the soap kitchen, and I think that's really, really sweet. So I'm just going to put a pin on that there so I know that that one is going on to that envelope. And this is how we can deal with any papers that roll up. It just doesn't matter. We can glue or we can sew them on, and we can show them who's boss and get them to behave, and ultimately come out with some really pretty envelopes. So if that ever happens to you, this is a great way of using up tracing paper that has rolled itself off of the printer. And I will be back with my final envelopes to embellish. Right, they're all looking really smart now, so I'm just going to add in a little piece of white paper here so that I can put in a thumb hole. I'm going to just come down to there and do that. That gives me that. And then we have an option of a pocket. So we've got 2 with and 2 without. I think that's plenty. And then we can alternate them to some having a pocket and some not. And we'll just work out what's going to be on our front one. We can either have the lady or the birds, because those are the 2 focal point ones, whereas these are slightly more background images. And if I put this over a plain background, we can see that this really comes to life on a white background. And I've got some lovely scraps to play with now, so these can all come in future junk journaling projects, so I definitely keep those. And what we can do here is, because we've put it on a darker blue background, if we now insert a nice piece of writing paper, that image is only going to pop off the page even more. So for the ones with pockets, they can have some writing paper in that's a lighter colour. There we go. So I've just folded up a little piece of note paper. I'm going to add that in there. Just a nice simple find for some journaling. So that illuminates some of the words and things in there. It's just rather lovely. So I'll do the same for this. Just adding in a little piece of vintage note paper. This could be some vintage ephemera as well. So anything with a light coloured background would be great. That really does look lovely now. So we can layer them up now and do something like this. So now I've got my stack of envelopes in an arrangement that I like. These are going to be sent in December, and I quite like the birds on there. I think that that is quite a nice winter scene with the rose hips there. So if I turn them over, we can see and how the colours flow. So that's nice. And then we turn that over and we'll have this one. And we can add some extra embellishment and labels as well if we want to. And then that is going to end up there, and it's all going to tie in looking really cool. Now comes the binding, the tab binding. So this is a nice, easy, no-sew method. And I have shown this before on a previous video at the beginning of the month when we were looking at this month's project. So I'll quickly run through how we do that, but I just want to talk about what you could possibly use to bind up your envelopes. So we are just dealing with 4, but there's no reason why you couldn't have more and make a much thicker bundle of envelopes into a proper journal. The way you would do it is by taking something that would bind the 2 together, and what we're using is going to be a tab, so it'll be that size, so around about 1.5 inches, which is roughly 3.5 centimetres. That's the sort of length of fabric or tab that you're looking for. And just to show you some other examples, you could use a nice thick cotton lace, something that's going to keep the pages together securely. You could use ribbon or other fabric. This is sari silk, so that could be stuck down and that could wrap around. And then I've got some white cotton that I've dyed here. This is now a nice peach colour. This would also come and look really nice, and it would work like that. So it would look like that. That's how it would appear. We could use a combination of the 2. We could have fabric and we glue that bit down, and then we can glue over the top a nice piece of lace, or a antique lace would look lovely as well. And if you have got scraps or surplus fabric, you can use a 1-inch double-sided sticky tape, and then you would be able to stick down your tape on one side and then you'll peel it off on the other side. And this is how this tape works. So this is a tape by Holtz, and that is here. and it is a paper backing, and when we peel that off it is just a double-sided sticky tape. So that's all that is. You can create your own fabric ribbon. You don't have to go in for the expensive stuff. It's just that I do have some, and it is blue and it's in keeping with my stitching, and I'm going to use that, and I may add some lace as well. So let's just see how this project comes together. We're going to need to have 8 of these tabs. They don't all have to be the same. They could be a variety of different ones. In fact, that could be more interesting and look really fun. What we're going to do on our first envelope, we are going to be putting 3 tabs. We're going to start at the top and using the top as our guide. Then we're going to take another one and put that on the bottom. I like the idea of embellishing the front with a little bit of lace trim, so I'm just cutting some strips off to be able to glue them to the top of my tab. I'm going to use a stronger fabric glue here, and I'm just going to put down my Beacon 3-in-1 glue and just see if I can get that to stay on there like that. So that's the first 3 tabs on the first page of our little tab journal here made from envelopes. So I'm now going to turn that over as I would in the book, and we'll get the next one. So this will be the next page, which is going to come and live here. And what we need to do is put our tabs on this one, but this time we put them in between the ones that have gone before. So I am going to add them there, and we're just going to do the same thing. So sticking down or gluing down whatever piece of fabric or whatever tape that you might have. But as long as it clears the first 2 tabs, it's all going to work. So that will now live on top, and those tabs all just meet together. You can see that those tabs are going to clear one another nicely, and we can start turning down the first 3 that we put on, and they will bind with the second envelope. So envelope 1 has got 3 tabs on it, envelope 2 has 2 tabs, and we just fold them down so we have secured our first page, and that's how it's looking. You are going to see the binding a little bit in there, and I have left a little bit of a gap because when I put things inside my envelope I would like it to be able to shut. So I haven't pulled those in too tight. That's the key thing here, so we are able to shut them. Now we turn it over and we go again with page 3, and we just put the tabs in exactly the same place as page 1, so starting at the top, and you can see that they are going to knit in together. Again, I'm going to embellish page 3 with my 3 tabs because these ones will be seen on the very final page, and you will see these on the back of this project. So I'm going to just carry on with a little bit of glue and just embellishing these tabs even further. So this could be a nice piece of decorative fabric, and then you're just adding on some trim or vintage lace, anything that you might have. It could be, you can do these in any style. You could have a lovely boho one, you can add some sari silk, anything at all. You can really make your tabs interesting. So I'm keeping it within this shabby chic vibe to fit in with the papers from Tina at Shabby Dabby Doodah. Do have a look at the links below for Tina's papers. They are really beautiful done in this way. I'm going to now put my page 3 on here, line it all up, and you can see that we've now got lots of tabs there. So let's turn it back round, and we can see that the next one that we did, we put down the 3, so now we're putting down 2. So 2 wraps over the top of page 3, and that leaves our tabs sticking up for our final page. And all we need to do now is just add our final page in We don't need to put any tabs on that unless you wanted to carry on, in which case you would put 2 tabs onto this page and you would carry the process on. All right, so everything is in now. We just need to make sure we give it a good squash and a squeeze. And there we have a tab bound, little fun, little flip through, little pocket, envelope, journal. Now we can have a look. If we wanted to embellish this further, we can. We can add more lace that runs down the seam and hides that binding. I think that's quite a nice idea, so I will add that in. A lovely piece of vintage lace here. This is a really nice find for somebody if you're gifting it, or if this is happy mail or something for somebody over the holidays. That's really sweet. Let's go this way with it and see how we like that. I'll just tap that into place. Use my finger to smear that down so that that can just come and tap in there, and then when it shuts, we'll just pull it into place, tack that down. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to focus on this page here. I'm going to have a look at this ephemera from Shabby Dabby Doodah, and I can see here there's lots of interesting pieces. I do like this page here, and there's 2 that are in a different colourway, and I love this because this says the holly tree, which is really nice because this is a project that is going to be received in December. Okay, I'm having a lovely time cutting these out, having a good look and putting some ink around the edges, so I can see that these documents could become quite old with an inked edge. They do look really good. You can fold that up and be something to tuck in. Lots of things to play with here, all the little labels and things. So that's all come off of these sheets, and they seem to be in varying sizes as well, so that's really fun. It's nice to be able to play around. I've gone for the slightly bigger ones this time because I just think that these are quite nice to come and live on these envelopes as an envelope topper. And this one, my husband just popped in and translated that and said that that is Children of the Rainbow. That's what he thinks it is. So if the French speakers can just confirm that, I think that's lovely. I like that one, and it links in nicely with the cream of my vintage lace, which I found in an antique shop, so I like that. I think that would be really great, using whatever glue is to hand really, and that just happened to be my strong glue here. So I'm going to say that this could be a pocket at the top. I'm just doing a little dab of glue front and back, and then I'm taking this little piece of seam binding or sari silk, not sure what it is actually, and I'm going to just hook it over there and just make a little fun tab, and then this is going to come and live in there. That is just a thin piece of paper, but it's lovely to keep the project nice and slim. Let's put that on. Put that on, it's a little tuck point there for something, and then I'm going to put it on this piece of card, and what I can then do is have a stiffer piece. Where's my page gone? There, to tuck it into. And then we'll just lose that piece, ink around, and now I've got a nice sturdy piece which is going to get stuck down here. And this piece I'm putting up here off to an angle so I still see the lovely flowers. There is so much here to play with that it is quite fun to be able to just come and tuck this in with a slick of glue. There we go, so that's added in now as well, and then I can turn it over, and all I've got to do is just cut off those little triangles. let's just have this one down like a sticker, and that can come over the top of the lace and just be a nice piece there. So that's how that's going to be. See if I can get this tucked to work. And then we'll just tuck that in there, so that's all now sealed in. And then this one, that needs doing, and that wants doing. And now I'm just focusing on the very back page, and I've got this piece of ephemera here that I'm putting in. These could be anything, any book pages, anything that you've found, anything you've seen in a magazine, some old newspaper. It doesn't have to be a digital kit. It's lovely that it is, and this means that we haven't had to spend lots of money trying to find these things in thrift shops, charity shops, junk sales, or antique fairs. These things can all be picked up, but at a cost, and they are then not junk. They are expensive items, but they do give this wonderful journaling experience. They take you back in time and they tell a story, and it's lovely that somebody's already put that together, and then we don't have to worry about it. And real vintage ephemera such as this can be very, very fragile and delicate. It's lovely to put a few pieces here and there, but when you're trying to construct something, it's not going to be that robust. So just a few little token gestures of some real vintage paper is lovely to bring it all together and really bring in that vibe. So I am just going to add down this piece because it is quite nice with its little tattered torn edges, and I'm just going to put it over the top of that piece there, which was quite bold, and I think that this just lends itself with the nice writing there. So when we turn it this way, we've got that's interesting to me. I've just found this paper flower. I'm going to add that there. Just a little bit of ink on that just to give it an aged effect, and I think that we're nearly there. I think that this is absolutely great. I don't think we need any more to it, otherwise we're just over embellishing for the sake of it, and that is fine. So at the front we've got these as a little idea at the moment, and these are going to all become fun finds for the person that I'm sending these things to. And I've put another one in there, which is that lovely French poster. So that's going to go in there with a lady. I think that's really nice. And then on the back, I'm going to fold up this vintage ledger. So that could definitely be used and torn up, and then that can become fun decorating. So that is really, really good. I've really enjoyed putting that together. Okay, so I'm just putting on my numbers there. That is 24, all embossed in gold. Let's have a look at this now. Opening up, we've got the number 3 there. I used prize ribbon distress embossing glaze, and I inked around first in a light blue colour, which I think was blue china. And these are the envelopes all bound in. We've got number 10 there. I mean, they're not the best embossing. I am now rushing to get the video done. But they are all in position and they look quite fun. There's a little sprinkling of gold in there as well. So that's really interesting. And then we've got the 24 on the back. And I've got a really fun pom-pom trim that I found in my stash. So I'm just going to add that here and just have a little embellished closure of a pom-pom bow, and then we'll let those long lengths dangle down. Spin that around, and then this will be sent off to a swap partner to spread a little bit of happiness and joy this December. So there we go. I hope that that has been fun and inspirational for you to watch. If you're interested in any of the papers or supplies, do please have a look in the description box below. If you've enjoyed this video and want to see more in the future, click the subscribe button and then you won't miss any of my videos coming up. And I love reading your comments, and give me a thumbs up if you thought this was worth your time. But above everything else, guys, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.